Welcome to the Taking the Lead podcast, where we empower people to be unstoppable. I'm Christina Hepner with my co-hosts Leslie Hoskins and Timothy Cuneo. So Timothy was just telling us right before this that he's got a little research project that he's going to be a part of. Timothy, tell us what that is, because it is so interesting.
Yeah, the college down here, Georgia Tech, has reached out to me and asked me if I would come down and try a guide dog that is robotic. And so I'm going to go down there and try a robotic guide dog for a couple of hours. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see what this is going to be like. And they want my ideas about it and what I would change and all that good stuff. So it's going to be kind of cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Will you be taking Glacier with you?
That's what my question was going to be.
I would love a picture of the two next to each other.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get a picture of it, both of them together. But yeah, she's going down. They want her down. They want to meet her. Some of them listen to the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that's how they reached out to me. And so I'm going to take Glacier down there. But my personal opinion of it, I think the real deal's better. I got a real guide dog. But we'll see. We'll see what it's going to be like.
Yeah, I am so excited to hear about this. I mean, technology it blows my mind, to be honest. Like how rapidly it changes, and now they're testing this stuff out. Now, I mean, there's always flaws with technology. Let's be real. How many times we all yell at our phones for, not loading fast enough, or computers, or, virtual meetings now, or all that stuff. It's so cool that it's changing so fast, but it's going to be so interesting. I even wonder what it's going to look like.
Well, that's
will
it
look like
will
a
it be
real
the
dog?
shape of a dog? Will it have a harness?
Put a harness on it?
I don't know how it's going to work.
I have so many questions. Why didn't they invite us? I want to go.
Well, I don't know. My personal opinion, I'm going to be very open to the idea of it.
Yeah.
But just knowing what Glacier does for me, and the dog's always there showing love. How can a robotic dog show love? And,
the emotional.
Concern?
The emotional connection.
This is a question that we get all the time. Like, do we think, robotic dogs or robotic anything are going to put us out of business, or like self-driving cars and things like that? And the reality is just what you said, guide dogs provide companionship. Sometimes that's the number one reason why people get a guide dog is for the companionship. We know they're also a mobility tool and incredibly intelligent and helpful in providing safe travel. But a lot of the times it's just having somebody there with you. And I don't know that a robot's going to be cuddly as much as...
That's true. How do you pet a robot?
Put that cold metal in your bed with you at night or whatever. Or if you're on a plane, like that when we had that flight that lasted 14 hours, a robotic dog's not going to show you, when we were having a struggle, Glacier would get up and I could pet her and she would calm me down and I would calm her down. Mm-hmm. And so there's just that emotional bond that between you and your dog. And that if that's gone, it's just you. It's just you and this mechanical thing. So we're going to see. I just don't know.
I guess the one thing you wouldn't have to worry about is like feeding it and park time.
I know, not having to clean up.
You got to charge it.
You got to charge it.
Yeah. I got to go plug in my dog. That sounds
what happens
so
if the battery
weird.
dies? What happens if the battery dies in the middle of the street? What happens?
You'll have to have like a portable charging bag.
Oh my gosh. I just have
instead of
all
poop
the
bags
questions.
and things in the diaper bag would have like
the diaper bag will be very heavy.
Yeah. I got to go plug my dog in real quick. Oh my gosh. I just have so many questions.
Yeah. Like how, intelligent disobedience when, we've trained our guide dogs to disobey basically if they see danger. For example, if you're ready to cross the street and you say, Glacier forward, but Glacier sees a car is coming that maybe you didn't hear. I mean, I don't know how a robot would do that, right? Because Glacier's making that conscious choice to not do what you've asked her to.
And what about like weather? Because, you have to travel in rains. Yeah. I mean, not snow for you. I mean, sometimes there's snow for you, Timothy, very rarely. But would it, glitch?
I know. I just think of like the Jetsons. Like that's my idea of like robots.
I really want to see this. Timothy, you're going to have to take all the pictures.
All right. Well, I'm going to try.
Or even take a video or something. I need to know.
Cheryl will be there, so she'll try to do some stuff for us.
All right.
That's so cool.
All right. Yeah. I have too many questions. That's the problem.
We want to be involved in that research, but that is really awesome. And honestly, right, it's like growth for the field. Yeah. People are researching ways to make people's lives who are blind or visually impaired better. I think it's awesome. Yeah. And I'm happy that you get to contribute to that.
Well, yeah. And I think too, like some people don't want a dog or don't like dogs. So this could be an alternative for people who want more than a cane, but not an actual living dog.
More than a cane. I'm just kidding.
I know, Leslie. I knew you were going to say that. But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Technology is cool. It's ever changing and it will never take over the world. That's my say.
Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. Quite the statement there.
It won't though.
All right. Well, we'll have to ask our guest's opinion here in a second. So today's guest is a big Leader Dog ambassador and is always willing to share her story.
Yes. Our guest is calling in from Black Mountain, North Carolina, where she lives with her husband, Danny, and leader dog, Shanti. We were all able to meet Karen Leonetti and her husband at last year's Bark and Brew, and we were so excited to learn more about her.
Karen, welcome to the show. I hope you and Dan and Shanti are doing great this morning. So not many people's heard your story. So let's just jump right into the pool. Can you tell everybody what happened tragically for you to lose some of your vision?
Yes. Hi, Timothy. Nice to be on the show, everybody. Thank you. Yes, when I was 30 years old, I had a 6-inch tumor on my heart, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 4. And my treatment was a bone marrow transplant, which I was in isolation for 144 days with Danny. He was my caregiver. I had 15 weeks of chemotherapy and adjunct when I got back from the cancer hospital back to Sarasota, where we lived for 30 years. I had 15 days of radiation. And it was the spot radiation on my heart, which they did not cover my eyes. So I have bilateral optic nerve atrophy in both eyes. So basically I have 5 degrees of vision in each eye. So I don't see people approaching me from the right at all. And I fall a lot before I got my Shanti. I fell and broke my wrist. I fell and broke my shoulder. And then, I knew it was time for a guide dog. But yes, that was tragic treatment. It was barbaric treatment. The bone marrow transplants are so different now. And I believe I was a guinea pig for, the people who went after me. So that was how I lost well, it didn't start right away. It probably in 2008 is when I really started seeing a difference. So I think it gradually happened.
Did you know that vision loss was going to be a side effect of that treatment?
So when I was in, the admitting process, Danny had to sign oodles and oodles of releases: blindness, deafness, heart attack, and death. And so it was what we signed off on. So it was a 6-inch tumor, inoperable, and it was attached to my heart. So we really had no choice to do all that treatment.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm so sorry to hear that. And so, you lost your vision. Obviously, you've persevered, and you're an incredibly strong woman. What happened next?
Well, when I got out of the hospital, my husband was saying, we'll build your school. We'll build you a school. So we had a preschool, and it was a wonderful holistic preschool I was a preschool teacher for 20 years, an owner. And it's when we closed down the school to move to Black Mountain that I really realized my vision was really failing, because the children would help me find things. I said, I lost something. Can you help me find it and stuff? So that was nice. But when we moved into a different state after living in the same home for 30 years, that was kind of difficult. So I pursued the whole idea of getting a guide dog. And I had our North Carolina division of the blind came and trained me. I didn't at that point know about Leader Dog. And so it took several months. Instead, if I had gone to Leader Dog, it would have been a week. That would have been quite a difference for me. But then I applied for Leader Dog. I guess it's 6 weeks you have to have your cane before you can apply for Leader Dog. And so that application started. Danny filmed me. He did everything he needed to do. We watched all the videos. We did everything. And then we waited for our Shanti girl to arrive. She was a home delivery. We requested a home delivery. And then with the pandemic, with the campus being closed down, it worked out beautifully. So her trainer, Kevin, came down to Black Mountain with her and trained me for 10 days in my town. So that was amazing, just an amazing, intense 10 days. And we worked really hard together. It was a lot to learn.
So home deliveries are usually shorter than when people come to campus. Campus is about 3 weeks. So you said you had 10 days, but that's, in your area, in your hometown. So what was it like? I know you've come up here for different events. We met at Bark and Brew. So what was it like the first time you actually came to campus?
It was mind-blowing. It truly was for both of us. Just to walk in those doors, because Shanti has changed our life so much, so deeply. And it was quite a benefit, we feel, to have that home delivery because we could pattern with our areas that we went to and things. But going up there where she was trained and just to be around all of you and the energy of the whole place just blew us away. It was fabulous. And then we wanted to come back for Bark and Brew because we just wanted to be in the town where she was trained and go to the coffee shops that I bet she went as a little puppy. And it was terrific. We got to meet up with her puppy raisers when we were up for the summer event at the campus. It was over the top for us.
So Karen, you did home delivery. What are some of the advantages do you think there is for having a home delivery in your own town?
Well, Timothy, I think the biggest thing is just that we can pattern going to the coffee shop I go to, going to the health food store I go to, walking around the lake, and just having Kevin be with me in my surroundings, I think is wonderful. It was definitely a trade-off for being on the campus, because I know you and I have had conversation of this, Timothy, that, that campus experience is so amazing. And I did miss out on that. But I think having, the home delivery was also beneficial for me because we live in a little teeny tiny town. It's like 8,500 people. So I think it worked really well. And we have warned Kevin, we have a lot of dogs in this town. So we have to make sure to have a non-distractible dog. And he says, I'm glad you told me that. So I really loved it very much.
So you and Shanti have been working together for a while now and have been through a lot. I know there's kind of an event that you wanted to share and talk about and how you, Shanti, and Danny all made it through.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity. It's very important to me. So 30 years, almost exactly, I was supposed to be celebrating my 30th anniversary of being cancer-free and my 60th birthday, but instead on the day before, I was on the thoracic surgeon's table talking about open heart surgery.
Oh,
so it seems that 30 years prior, that radiation and the chemo and the bone marrow transplant damaged my heart. I had an aneurysm on my heart. It was 5.7 I was 5.7 and 5.5 is operationable. So it just blew my socks off. So this major year of celebration I was looking forward to ended up with a open heart surgery. And thank goodness I had a family doctor who heard a murmur, but the way he said it just really made me alarmed. And we went for testing, and 7 tests later, we were ready for this. And, but I wanted Shanti with us. Many friends were like, we'll take care of her for you. It's like, no. This is a life team. We don't separate each other. And, so we called the director of nursing and we said, how could we work this? Because I know that she's allowed everywhere, but in the operating room. And can she come to, the recovery room for 6 days with Danny and I? And we had a long conversation. It was probably 4 hours long. And we spoke about all the different places where she would be in the room. They didn't want her near the draining tubes. They didn't want her near, so we had it all crystal clear. We went in and she showed us the room we'd be in. It was amazing. And she was very, very happy that we self-advocated. So we just got in there and learned what it's going to be like. And so Shanti was all ready. We were all ready. And so I remember calling Kathleen because we were supposed to do an event for Leader Dog up in Maryland and Delaware. And I was in tears. And Kathleen is your events, the Lions coordinator. And I was in tears. And for 1 second, guys, I have to say I was scared that Shanti would be taken away from me. And then Danny said, "Oh my gosh, Karen, this is Leader Dog. Are you kidding me? If anything, they'll send somebody down to help take care of her." And I just thought this whole procedure was going to be 8 weeks long. And when I went for my testing, they said, "You will be up and walking in 1 day."
Wow.
So we called Kathleen, and she said, "Let me call Kevin." Kevin called us, her trainer and my trainer, and he walked Danny through everything. He said, keep her harness on at all times in the hallways. Of course, when she's resting in the room, she doesn't need it on. Take her, keep the handle down. Don't grab the handle because that's kind of impersonating a blind person. Just take her leash and walk her around. And they did fabulously. They went down to the coffee shop. They went down to talk to the valets. He went out and parked her several times more a day than she probably needed, just to be busy, And there was like a little crack, like a little arch at the bottom of my bed, and I could see her. And I would just wave really fast my hand, and her little tail would go thump, 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 thump.
Yeah.
So it was just amazing to have her there with us.
Yes. Karen, that is a lot to be in a hospital for so many days with your guide dog. If there's anyone that's listening that has to go through that, whether it's a surgery or anything, and has to be in the hospital for that long with their guide dog or white cane, what advice would you give to someone on, how to get through that?
Well, I think the biggest thing, which that director of nursing, she was so lovely. She was so impressed with our advocacy, self-advocacy. And that would be my big takeaway is make sure you ask for what you need. And I also told her that, when the nurses come in, which they come in all through the day and all through the night, to please announce themselves, because I can't recognize people's faces because I only see 1/4 of their face at a time. So she went around to all the nurses and instructed them to do that. But just to be as positive as possible. And, the self-advocacy part is so huge. Just finding out ahead of time what can be done, how can it be done, and just get it done. And to do, like they would come in and they'd say, "Okay, Karen, time for your walk in 15 minutes if you're up for it." And I'm like, "I'm up for it." I've just had a huge incision, and so I'm like, if this is what I need to do, this is what I will do. And, it's interesting because way back when I was 5 years old, I was at a horse show, my very first horse show. It was a walk trot class. And the first curve, I felt the saddle slip. And the saddle slipped and I fell off in the middle of the horse show, in the middle of the arena. And my mom ran around and she said, "Karen Ann, are you okay?" And I said, yes. And she says, "You get back up on that horse." And I said, "No, Mom, I want to go home." "You get back up on that horse." And I did. And I feel like, so much of our personality is in cement by the time we're 6 years old. And it just was, I think it just pulled me through all these events in my life to have that perseverance and be able to advocate for myself and what I need. And actually out of probably 20 horses, they placed 6 and I came in 5th place, which I was quite impressed with. I thought I wouldn't get anything, but it was, being in the hospital was quite traumatic. At the end, Danny and I were kind of a little bit misty-eyed because my AFib would not go away from the surgery. And I went to, the nurse came in and she said, "You know what, guys, I can see that you're very upset about this. You can't go home till we get it under control, but let's see. Would you like to have the physical therapist come in and work with you?" And I was like, "Wow, that's interesting. I'm going home in a few days, right?" And she says, I think it'd be great to have the physical therapist come in. So she came in and I was so so cautious. I had this new incision, probably 10 inches long. And I'm thinking, how am I going to take that handle and walk, and is it going to pull me apart? Is it going to break stitches? What's going to happen? And I was telling her my fears and how she has to gently pull to guide me. And she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "It's okay, Karen. I used to be a guide dog instructor."
I mean,
Wow.
What are the odds?
And I was just blown away. And all of my stress went away. And she, told me, keep your limbs like you're inside of a tube, no chicken arms, and everything that she gave me to remember. Like, keep Shanti, back by your seam in your pants. And when you treat her, just bring her back towards you. Do not reach. And I said, would you please write these things down for me? And I knew I'd be recuperating at home and taking her on walks. And so she did. And I looked at them and I started to giggle because it's exactly the way Kevin had trained me. Mm-hmm. And so I sent it up to Kathleen, and Kathleen sent it to Kevin. And I guess we all had a huge laugh over it. But that was our journey.
That is too funny. Well, and you know what? Everything kind of happens for a reason. I feel like people are put in our lives for a reason, and that's really cool. You needed her and she needed you, and I just think that's fantastic. I do want to ask you, Karen, because we did have an opportunity to meet you at Bark and Brew, which was so wonderful, and your husband, Danny, and Shanti. And you got up and spoke on the stage for a little bit with your husband, and you guys are both fantastic, and we certainly appreciate you guys being so vulnerable and always sharing your story. But one thing I wanted to chat about was, your husband's perspective. He kind of had shared when he was up there about, once you got Shanti and that you had this newfound independence, that he wasn't exactly sure of his role anymore. So we've heard recently from Linda, who is Jeff Hawkins' wife, and she kind of shared the other perspective on the front end of, sometimes there's so much involved and you're a caretaker and all of these stresses and things that come with it. But Danny expressed kind of on the other side of it, like, wow, his role really changed and he wasn't really sure where he fit in anymore. You weren't needing him to guide you around all the time, and you were out going independently, which is incredible. And of course, what he wants. But would you mind just sharing a little bit about his perspective?
Sure. And that is it. I believe that he, when you're side by side, because he's gone through the whole journey with me. And, with the first diagnosis. And I remember being in Sarasota, my eye doctor saying, "Has anybody ever gone blind in your family?" I'm like, "I'm here for an eye doctor appointment. I don't know what you're talking about." So he's been with me for the whole journey. And so he is a very protective husband. He does a lot for me anyway. And then after it was very hard for him when Celia would come and do my white cane training, because he couldn't attend until I think it was like the second to last session we had. So it was hard for him. He mentioned to see us walk off, mm-hmm. and to not be part of it. But there's times that if Shanti's with us and it's pouring rain, we'll leave her in the car and I'll use my guide dog. I call him my guide dog, not my guide dog. And this particular situation, we went into CVS and it was raining, so we were kind of walking in quickly, and Shanti was nice and snuggly in the car. And there was a park bench, and it was inside, and he cut the corner a little sharp. And my leg took out the park bench. I mean, we moved it probably 2 feet. And I said to him, Shanti wouldn't have done that to me. So that was funny. But I think he just is so happy to see that I'm independent.
Of course.
Because we do so much together, it's hard for him to sometimes, maybe he feels left out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what he was kind of speaking about at the Bark and Brew, that he feels not as needed anymore, but that's not true. He's just not need it for my mobility anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's just such a huge lifestyle change, when you're the one that's used to providing that kind of assistance and then all of a sudden, it's taken away by somebody else. I would imagine that would be challenging. But of course, I know he's so happy to see you independent and traveling, and he's a huge support person for you. He's fantastic. I really appreciated that perspective.
Yes. And he'll take me anywhere, at any place. I mean, we still need him. We sure do. And he takes us, to the store. He takes us to the garden shop, and he takes us to our little favorite thrift store. And it's hysterical because when I'm in the changing room, Shanti has to always peek her head out from the bottom and look out at everybody. And everybody just chuckles. She's so curious. That's what I love about leader dogs. They have such great personalities, and her curiosity, I love. Timothy, I'm not sure. I'm sure that Glacier is the same way. They're just so curious. They're always looking to see what's around them. And
so does this mean you don't think the robot dog's going to be
I don't think so. I'm with Timothy about the cuddle and the emotions. My mom just passed away, as you know, a week ago. And I mean, she has been there. Every tear that's fallen down my face, she's sitting right next to me. And she'll get up and come from the other side of the house when I'm sad. So you can't replace that. I'm with Timothy on that. 100%.
So Karen, I know you're a go-getter. Do you mind telling everybody what you're doing now for your advocacy in your community?
Oh my goodness, Timothy, thank you. For a year now, I've been trying to get a hold of the local Leo instructor at our local high school. And just recently she phoned us, and we went on Thursday of last week. And it was the most incredible experience. And we spoke with 3 different groups, large groups of high schoolers, on encouraging them to become Leos and help their community. And then they can become lions after they turn 18. And it was just so lovely to be able to teach them about Shanti and how she helps me. And we would ask open-ended questions, and they would just answer. They were so excited. And this newly formed club already has 10 students, and I am just over the moon about that.
That is wonderful and so cool. And we really appreciate all the work that you're doing for advocacy and just sharing your story with us today. I love the get back on the horse. It sounds like you've been doing that most of your life. So thank you for sharing.
Exactly. Yes. You're welcome.
All right. And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to the Taking the Lead podcast. I'm Leslie Hoskins with hosts Timothy Cuneo and Christina Hepner. We hope you enjoyed hearing about Karen and all that she has overcome. Please join us again next time as we continue to dive into the world of blindness.
And if you'd like to learn more about applying to our free services at LeaderDog, you can head to leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332. And don't forget, you can reach us at takingthelead@leaderdog.org with any questions or ideas. If you like today's podcast, make sure to hit subscribe and check us out wherever podcasts stream.